Protect your Excel file with a password to prevent others from accessing data. Select File, Info. Select Protect Workbook, Encrypt with Password. Enter a password and select OK. Make sure your password is memorable, because there is no way to open the file if the password is lost. Confirm the password and select OK. Enter the password the next time you open the file. Share your workbook in Excel to collaborate with others. Select Share. Choose the permissions you want, add people, and type a message if you want. Select Send. Recipients will receive an email notification with a link to the workbook. Or select Copy Link and share the link however you want, like in an email, document, or chat message.
Create formulas in Excel and use built-in functions to perform calculations and solve problems. Select a cell. Type the equal sign. Select a cell or type its address. Notice the blue color match between the cell reference and the cell. Enter an operator, like minus for subtraction. Add another cell. Notice the red color match between the cell reference and the cell. Excel is helping you confirm your cell selection. Press Enter and the result appears. You can see your formula in the formula bar. Also, functions help you save time when creating formulas. Select a cell. Type equals and then a function, like sum. Type an opening parenthesis. Select a range of cells. Don't forget the closing parenthesis. Press Enter to get your result. Need more help with formulas? Select File, New, and choose the Formula Tutorial template. Nice!
Define and use names and formulas to easily understand, maintain, and reference data. You can define a name for a cell, table, or range. To name a cell, select it, then select the value in the name box. Type a name and press Enter. To reference this value in another table, type the equal sign and the new name. In this example, equals Frank Hours, and press Enter. If you want Excel to name the table or range, select it first. Select Formulas, Create from Selection. Designate the locations of the names in the range by checking top row, left column, bottom row, or right column. Select OK. Reference this table by typing the equal sign and the name Excel defined for this range. In this example, equals amount earned. Press Enter. Or type the equal sign and select Formulas, Use in Formula. Select the name you want to use and press Enter. To create, delete, and manage names, select Formulas, Name Manager. Change a name by selecting it in the list, then select Edit. Once you've changed it, select OK and Close.
In Excel, sometimes you want to display zero values as an empty cell. To do that, hide the value. To change an entire workbook, select File, Options, Advanced. Uncheck the box for Show a zero in cells that have zero value, and then select OK. To change a single cell, select it, then select Format, Format Cells. Select Number, Custom, and scroll to find the value starting with 0, semicolon. Press OK to hide the value. To display a hidden value in a single cell, select it, then with the Number Format pull-down, choose General. You got it! Word lets you insert, write, or modify mathematical equations and formulas. To insert an equation from the preset ones in the gallery, select Insert, Equation. Choose your equation. The ribbon provides more options. Or select Insert New Equation to write your own equation. To edit, select your equation and rewrite it. Convert to different formats to match what you need, like if you need source format. Select Convert, Current Linear. Or select All Linear to convert more than one equation. Use the IF function in Excel to compare text or values in a cell to what you are expecting. Select a cell, type =if, and add the condition to test. In this case, we are seeing if actual is greater than budgeted. Add an if true value and an if false value. Press Enter. Select the cell and drag to apply the if to other rows. That's it.
Use the XLOOKUP function in Excel when you need to find things in a table or arrange by row. Select a cell. Type =XLOOKUP and select the function. Select another cell to enter the lookup value. Type a comma. Select the cells you want to find the lookup value. Type a comma. Select the cells that contain the data to return. Press Enter. Now try it out. Sweet.
In Excel, sometimes you want to display zero values as an empty cell. To do that, hide the value. To change an entire workbook, select File, Options, Advanced. Uncheck the box for Show a zero in cells that have zero value, and then select OK. To change a single cell, select it, then select Format, Format Cells. Select Number, Custom, and scroll to find the value starting with 0, semicolon. Press OK to hide the value. To display a hidden value in a single cell, select it, then with the Number Format pull-down, choose General. You got it! Instead of using the IF function, use IFs to test more than one condition and then return a value for the first true condition. In this example, we're going to check the grade against the score each student received and calculate a letter grade. Select where you want the IFs function. Type =ifs. Create the first condition. Add the other conditions. Press Enter. Notice how much simpler the formula is compared to just using the IF function. Drag the fill handle down the column.
Use the COUNTIF function to count the number of cells that meet criteria you specify, such as the number of times a name shows up within a range of cells. To use a formula with COUNTIF, select an empty cell, type the equals sign, and type COUNTIF into the cell, followed by an opening parenthesis. The COUNTIF function has two arguments, range and criteria. Let's start with range. Select a range of cells, type a comma to advance to the next argument, which is the criteria to look for. Type a quotation mark, and then the name Buchanan as the search criteria. End with another quotation mark. Type a closing parenthesis and press Enter. Buchanan's name appears 7 times within the selected range. To change the arguments of the function, you don't need to retype it. Select the formula bar and replace Buchanan's name with another salesperson.
To determine the number of salespeople by region who have 50 or more orders, we use the COUNTIFs function. First, we select the region cell range, and I press F4 to make this an absolute cell reference. Then we select the criteria it needs to meet. In this case, the region is East. Then we select the cell range for the number of orders and the criteria it needs to meet, greater than or equal to 50, in cell G2. I'm using a cell reference for the criteria instead of hard-coding it into the formula so that I can easily change it if I want to. In the East region, there is one person with 50 or more orders. Let's walk through this. First, the function evaluates how many cells in the region cell range, B2 through B7, are equal to East. In this example, there are 2, Bob and Sue. Of these 2, it then evaluates how many have orders greater than or equal to 50, cell G2. In this case, it's just Bob. COUNTIFs applies criteria to cells across multiple ranges and counts the number of times all criteria are met. This is the syntax of the COUNTIFs function. Criteria range 1 is required. It's the first range that's evaluated. Criteria 1 is required. It's the criteria by which criteria range 1 is evaluated. Criteria range 2, criteria 2, and so on are optional. Each additional range must have the same number of rows and columns as criteria range 1, but they don't have to be adjacent to each other. You can use the question mark and asterisk wildcard characters in criteria. Now we want to determine the sales by region where the salesperson has 50 or more orders. We can do this with the SUMIFS function. First, we select the range of cells we want to add. In this case, the range of cells in the sales column. I press F4 to make this an absolute cell reference. Next, we select the first cell range we want to evaluate, the 4 regions in the regions column. Then, we select the criteria that the range will be evaluated by. In this case, East, cell F2. Then we select the range of cells for the number of orders and the criteria, greater than or equal to 50, in cell G2. In the East region, the total sales by sales reps with orders greater than or equal to 50 is $49,017. Let's walk through this. It's similar to the COUNTIFs function. First, the function evaluates how many cells in the region column's range of cells are equal to East. There are 2. Bob and Sue are the salespeople for the East region. Of these 2, it then evaluates how many have orders greater than or equal to 50. For East, it's just Bob. Lastly, the function adds the cells from the range of cells in the sales column where all the corresponding criteria are met. Bob is the only salesperson from the East region to meet all of the criteria, so the results of the function is Bob's sales figure. SumIfs adds the cells in a range that meet multiple criteria. This is the syntax of the SumIfs function. SumRange is required. It's one or more cells to sum. Blank and text values are ignored. Criteria range 1 is required. It's the first range that's evaluated. Criteria 1 is required. It's the criteria by which criteria range 1 is evaluated. Criteria range 2, criteria 2, and so on are optional. Each cell in the SumRange argument is summed only if all the corresponding criteria specified are true for that cell. Each criteria range argument must contain the same number of rows and columns as the SumRange argument. You can use the question mark and asterisk wildcard characters in criteria. Up next, the average ifs and if-err functions. The SumIf function allows you to add cells that meet a criteria that you provide. For example, in this formula, if B2 is greater than 100, add C2. If B3 is greater than 100, add C3, and so on. The syntax of the SumIf function is SumIf, open parenthesis, range, comma, criteria, comma, SumRange, close parenthesis. Range is the range of cells that you want to evaluate using the criteria, such as B2 through B6. Criteria defines what the cells in the range are evaluated against, such as greater than 100. SumRange are the actual cells to add if the corresponding cells in the range match the criteria, such as C2 through C6. Brackets around SumRange indicates it's optional. If SumRange isn't used, the cells in the range are both evaluated by the criteria and added if they match the criteria. Let's try it out. We're going to create a formula that adds property values that are over $160,000. We start with an equal sign, SumIf, open parentheses, select the range, comma, put the criteria in quotes, in this case, greater than 160,000, and press enter. And the sum of the property values over $160,000 is $900,000. This is an example where SumRange is omitted. The cells in the range, A2 through A5, are both evaluated by the criteria and added if they match the criteria. In this example, if A2 is greater than 160,000, add A2. If A3 is greater than 160,000, add A3, and so on. Now we're going to create a formula that adds the commissions for property values that are over $160,000. We start with an equal sign, SumIf, open parenthesis, select the range, comma, put the criteria in quotes, comma, select the SumRange, and then press enter. And the commissions for property values over $160,000 is $63,000. In this example, SumRange is defined. If A2 is greater than 160,000, add B2. If A3 is greater than 160,000, add B3, and so on. We can also evaluate text in a SumIf function. Let's create a formula that totals sales for fruits. As always, we start the formula with an equal sign, SumIf, open parentheses, select the range, comma, put the criteria in quotes, in this case, fruits, comma, select the sum range, and then press enter. And we see that the sales total for fruits is $2,000. In this example, if A2 is equal to fruits, add C2. If A3 is equal to fruits, add C3, and so on. We can use the question mark and asterisk wildcards as criteria arguments in a SUMIF function. A question mark matches any single character, and an asterisk matches any sequence of characters. Let's add the sales for foods ending in ES. Equal sign, SUMIF, open parenthesis, select the range, comma, put the criteria in quotes, in this case, asterisk ES, comma, select the sum range, and then press enter. And the total sales for foods ending in ES is $4,300. In this example, if the last word in B2 ends in ES, add C2. If the last word in B3 ends in ES, add C3, and so on. Now you've got a pretty good idea of what's involved in adding numbers in Excel 2013. Of course, there's more to learn. So check out the course summary at the end for more information about adding numbers.
SUMIFS lets you test multiple conditions and return a value based on those conditions. For this example, we're showing how many bananas Tom sold. Select a cell. Type equal sign, SUMIFS, open parenthesis. Select the sum range. Add a comma. Select the first range. Add a comma. Select criteria. Add a comma. Select the second range. Add a comma. Select criteria. Add a right parenthesis and select Enter. To apply the same formula on a different condition, choose another option.